Drinking beer in the hot sun. I fought the law and I won. I fought the law and I won.
What's up, everybody? This is Trip.
I'm Jim.
And this is DEADCENTER, where we try to conversate, not consternate. Get to the fucking points. Get to the fucking point. And what a point that we have for y'all today.
Got a couple of them.
We got, yes, more than a few.
I'm gonna touch up on our last couple episodes.
Yes, we might have to eat a little crow. I mean,
a little bit.
There might be a little crow to eat. We're going to touch on, with all the shit about surrounding Sean Hannity, we're going to do a little bit of the history of the Trump-Russia investigation, as well as maybe touch a little on the Hillary James Comey investigation. And I would like to show how they correlate, you know.
Right. But first, we got our last two episodes. We've discussed the North Korea situation and that escalating, and we also talked about Syria and the most recent $100 million plus fireworks show.
Yes, absolutely. So the North Korea situation, volatile, as we went over in our other show, and it was volatile for a long period of time. Prior to the Syria show that we did recently, we discussed, or I'm sorry, we didn't discuss. There were talks of discussions coming out about North Korea and South Korea having a peace treaty come about. Nobody really knew why. Nobody was able to confirm or deny anything. And then, yes, South Korea confirms it the week before Easter, that's definitely on the table. Then Easter goes by, and what do you know? There's a secret meeting between Mike Pompeo and Kim Jong-un directly in North Korea. Now, the reason that this is out there for us to talk about, the reason this is important is because there's a timeline here that I think correlates quite nicely. Now, maybe it's just a lot of speculation about me and possibly Jim, but we look at it like, okay, so there's peace treaty talks, right? Mike Pompeo goes and meets with Kim Jong-un. I don't think he went there and said, look, watch what's about to happen in Syria. I don't necessarily think we're on a conspiracy theory level or anything like that. But I also don't think he went in there and said, you know, hey, we really like you guys. Could you just quit? You know, I don't think he did that either.
Right.
He was the director of the CIA for what, 10 years? Something like that?
Right, and now he's the appointed Sec of State.
The dubbed
Sec of State.
Okay, so that's a secret meeting, right? Now, the very next weekend, that week, Assad uses these chemical weapons, and Russia comes out and says, we're not only going to shoot them down, we're going to bomb where they came from. We did that show last week, 48 hours after this happened, right?
And at the time, we were talking about, hey, Russia still hasn't done anything.
Right.
You know, all they've done is come out and say, hey, maybe we need to talk about this.
Right, and it has now been a week later, and the only thing that they've done is said the United States we need to come to the table and talk about the Syria situation because me and China, speaking as Russia, thinks the United States did something illegal internationally. That's the only thing they've done. They didn't shoot anything down. They didn't bomb any fucking where we shot missiles from.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
If we're gonna entertain the conspiracy theorists, we might as well go ahead and entertain them entirely.
I don't want to entertain.
As far as we know, they didn't shoot down an even significant amount of our bombs or missiles, and as far as we know, they haven't done anything militarily significant since.
Well, I mean, and that's a fair point, you know, but so it all right. So the thing happened in Syria, right? $100 million fireworks show. Donald Trump, we gonna send them. They're gonna be bigger, faster, smarter. You know what I mean? It all happens, and then the very next week, there is talks of reunification of South Korea and North Korea, and on top of that, Kim Jong-un has come out and said, we're not testing anymore. We're shutting down a testing site. We don't need to go through with this any longer. We've obtained, now he did say they have obtained a nuclear warhead. They said that they completed scientifically their objective to have that weaponry. So, now South Korea is obviously very, very unsure of this, you know what I mean? Now, while they have the U.S. backing them, still, it's a tricky fucking situation. But, I don't...
Right, because they could have it, which that would not be good for South Korea, and then they could not have it, and this is...
Well, they say they do have it.
I mean...
They say they do have it.
Now, they also said a while ago that they already had developed an H-bomb.
Well, and
no one believed them.
But that was around the time of... Now, here's my rebuttal to that. Around the time of the initial ICBM launch, right, back in October when the Fire and Fury thing came out, you had intelligence keeping an eye on North Korea for a while, okay? And then all of a sudden a newspaper leaks that they have an intercontinental ballistic missile. So either the government's been lying to us for a really long time, or we have the worst intelligence agency in the history of intelligence agencies. For us to all of a sudden, oh shit, they've got one. There's no way that somebody up in the upper echelon of our government didn't know about that. Now, if it got leaked, if it was leaked for a possible tirade between Trump and Kim Jong-un, that's something else entirely. But I don't believe that our government didn't fucking know.
What if someone promised them one, or promised to, take the nuclear energy stress off their shoulders?
His name would be Bill Clinton.
What?
Remember we talked about this, that between 98 and 2002, we gave them like $450 million for energy development?
Yeah. Right. Well, if they didn't do what they were supposed to do with that, and maybe China stepped in and said, hey, stop testing, don't worry about it, we're just going to hand it to you.
That's also true.
I don't know how that changes the scope of anything other than the talks in the EU. China, out of left field, coming in and saying, actually, we fully back North Korea all over again.
But they've been off and on about that.
They have. But they've been over the last few decades, and I said this in the last podcast. It was just last time we talked about this. I said they've been over the last few decades just slowly but surely backing off, going, hey man, we're going to put these, we agree with these sanctions, you need to stop, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know what would make them turn around and say, actually, go ahead and stop, we'll just give it to you. I mean, you know what I mean? And I also don't see Russia or China being too stoked on them having developed it and just now saying, all right, well, we've got it, so we can talk peace.
It seems like with this whole Syria situation, Russia tried to play a chess piece and lost that chess piece. That's just really what it seems.
You already have it in the microwave. I hear it coming.
Look, dude, I will sit here and bash Donald Trump's domestic policies and stuff. I'll call him a racist, and I'll say, he might have had something to do with Russia. But if he put the right people around him for foreign relations,
as stern as those relations may be,
stern as they be, but look how drastically this situation has changed since we talked about it 3 weeks ago. Since we talked about North Korea 3 weeks ago, we sat here and said we were fucking worried about nuclear war, and now they're not only talking about reunification, but is talking about closing down nuclear testing sites and shit. That follows right up now. And to be fair, I won't give all this credit to Donald Trump, because this also falls right in line with the sentiment that with the mutually assured destruction.
Oh, I had no idea where you were going.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had a brain fart. The mimosas are fucking with me.
And Sunday morning.
Yeah, man. No, but this falls right in line. Now, I'm putting the timeline together just from what our news media has given us. And I don't necessarily want to give all that credit to Donald Trump, because one, the Syria strikes were in conjunction with the UK and France. So this ain't just Trump. Two, Mike Pompeo has been working with the CIA for a while now. I don't believe Trump would have been able to go over there and say the same things Mike Pompeo did. I'm more giving credit to Trump putting the right people around him and acting coordinated.
You are talking about an executive, as Trump is, then any credit that you give the administration, you give to the executive.
Dude, Trump takes credit for things that he didn't do.
I'm not saying that he doesn't. However, if you are saying that you are going to give him enough credit to say he picked the right people, that's enough to say he's doing his job as effectively as he can, because that's what the president does. He
is doing his strongest running point for 2020 will be foreign policy.
I can agree that will be what I think he tries to push.
He already is trying to push that every day, because if he's not tweeting about the Comey lies, which I also don't believe, he is tweeting about how strong his foreign policy working is. So again, yeah, I mean, if I have to give him credit because I'm giving the people around him credit, then so be it. But it's and
we're not entirely sure. Let's make this clear.
Yeah, before you lefties tell me I'm a Nazi.
and before the people on the right try to, gung ho behind us, like, you guys like Trump now.
Absolutely.
It's I want to make it clear that, like, all I'm conceding is that, at least from what we're seeing right now, from our perspective, it is looking as if the idea of a global conflict, or even a large-scale conflict with, the UN having to get involved, is much less likely now.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was talking about nuclear buttons and whose were bigger, whose were faster, who's going to bomb who's going to shoot what down out of the sky. That was the talk literally not even a week ago. And then now over the last week, we've totally turned that around. And it is, let's get to the table, let's meet about it, let's talk about it.
I think you said that perfectly just now. And I think that's where we have to eat the crow. Because we completely said the complete opposite on the Kim Dong versus Dumb Don episode.
Right.
And last week we started giving him a little credit when Russia didn't immediately respond. It's been a fucking week. Nobody has done anything.
Right.
Now, with that being said, the only country that's come out and made any kind of real threats is Iran. Yes.
I did not see this.
Yeah, I completely...
Because one thing I think we missed, and hopefully someone somewhere will go back and listen to that episode now that I'm saying this and be like, oh yeah, they did fuck that up. But one thing we didn't really talk about is that Syria really is a proxy war inside of a proxy war. Like, while it is on a large, zoom out all the way scale, a proxy war for, it looks like now 3 versus 2 of the large 5, the power 5 at the UN, global powers, us, the alliance with the UK and France, and then, Russia and China, also being involved through proxy. But that proxy is kind of through Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is having a proxy war in Syria. I mean, that's the original Syrian conflict is not a proxy war outside of maybe Iran versus Saudi Arabia having a proxy war in Syria. And we didn't really do a good job of talking about Saudi Arabia and Iran's influence on that conflict for that episode.
Well,
but that is a big one. But what did Iran come out and say?
Well, Iran wasn't so much pissed off about, I mean, I'm sure they were pissed off about the Syria strikes, but Iran has come out and said if the U.S. pulls out of the nuclear agreement, there's going to be swift and decisive action taken against them. There's going to be predicted consequences and unpredicted consequences. Now, what that means, I don't know that from a can of paint, but it doesn't sound good, and when you talk like that, it doesn't sound like you actually are complying with the nuclear deal that I've actually kind of been in favor of for a little while. Now, Donald Trump, I mean, he backs Israel. He's a very, very big supporter of Israel. And Israel don't want a fucking nuclear armed Iran, and Donald Trump doesn't want one either. So you're making and he's made harsh statements at Iran from day one.
Right, and he doesn't like the Iran deal. He thinks it's the worst deal of the history of deals.
Right, but why?
My question is why do we get all these reports from the UN saying they're complying 100% and that there's no worry? And then they can turn around and say some shit like there's going to be hell to pay if...
Right.
I mean...
Well, this was within the last, few days. So, again...
Leave it to Iran to be... Or Saudi Arabia. I'm not taking a side here. But leave it to one of those two countries to be the ones that stand up and go, whoa, no. Fuck peace. Come on.
Yeah.
No. Let's keep talking shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it's...
I'm happy, and I hate to say this because it's talking in regards to global policy right now, but like I am happy that this is de-escalating. It's toning down. We're no longer throwing the nuke word around. You know what I mean? Like this is one of those things that I feel like is going to actually result in a discussion, and holy shit, that's exactly what we wanted.
Right.
And I think that's like you're talking about. I think I'm done eating my crow now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think the crow eating is finished. I finished my plate because now let's get into our favorite portion of the show. We got some dumb tweets. Oh, gosh, they're the best.
So speaking of North Korea, there have been quite a few people that have been outspoken about how we are, just kind of barking with no bite, and we're being way too soft and giving up way too much in these talks. One of them being Chuck Todd, and Donald J. Trump tweeted, "Sleepy eyes Chuck Todd of Fake News NBC just stated that we have given up so much in our negotiations with North Korea, and they have given up nothing. Wow, we haven't given up anything, and they have agreed to denuclearize, parentheses, so great for world.
No, they haven't.
Site closure and no more testing."
Okay, site closure and no more testing does not equal denuclearization. It ensures mutually assured destruction, right?
If they have a nuke and we start threatening that we're going to use ours, then the notion of nuke, just for those out there that aren't versed in poli-sci, the idea of mutually assured destruction is that if one sovereign entity decides to attack another nuclearized entity, then what eventually will happen is allies and alliances will unfold in such a way that everyone nukes everyone and the world basically ends.
There's a great video called "The Way the World Was Destroyed." It's pretty fucking funny. Check it out. Anyways, so that's assuming that North Korea has these nuclear weapons that they still claim to have. Which, I mean, I don't have any reason to not think they have them. Unless they tried to test one and it fucking didn't work, and they're like, well, we better start talking peace because we're stupid, which I also don't think happened. So, yeah, but Donald Trump is absolutely wrong when he says that they're going to denuclearize, because when Kim Jong-un released his statement, he literally said, we have obtained the necessary nuclear power to have a warhead. But we do not believe, but in the pursuit of peace, we do not feel like we need to keep testing and keep our sites open and blah blah blah.
I'm curious though if they, because there's two sides to this thing. There's either they do have it and that's why they're stopping testing is because they're done, or they don't have it, realize they're farther away than they think to having it. So instead
if you can't beat them, join them.
Oh yeah, and so. But my question is if they do have it, and that's why they come to the table and say we can have peace now because we're on board with everything else, we're at the same level you guys are, we're not going to denuclearize, we're on your playing field now. I wonder if they still talk about unifying Korea.
I think that they came out last week and said we're going to switch to a more moderately socialist state rather than a communist state. Their government has said that they're trying.
They're going to be more like China.
Yeah, I mean, which is. Whatever. I wonder what makes me think about this is what is the godlike sense of the leader of North Korea? How does that change with that culture if they go from a communist dictator god of the people to a socialist government hand in the population? How does that change the way they revere their leader?
I think what one may realize is he can do what Vlad and Xi
Jinping.
Yeah, he can do what they're doing. He could basically he might not even have to fix the elections.
Right.
He might just win because he's successfully brainwashed his people over the course of 3 generations.
I mean his family. It wasn't just him.
Yeah, and it's his name is going to stay in that position even if he changes it from supreme leader to president.
That's fair. Yeah, just had to poke it down about that, and
while we're poking at him, so aside from tweeting about his global policies in North Korea, he has also in recent news. I mean, our domestic news is more covering what's going on here, and what's going on here is this collusion with Russia versus not collusion with Russia, and Comey memos.
Yeah, I'm excited to not be endorsing Donald Trump.
Let's anyway. So dumbed down tweets that we can get to that it's more than just one word that we disagree with. April 19th, he came out about the James Comey memos, and he said James Comey memos just out and show clearly that there was no collusion and no obstruction. Also, he leaked classified information. Wow! Will the witch hunt continue?
That's such hyperbole and such a broad, vague dismissal of the truth of what the Comey memos were. All they did was reassure the fact that he did what he said he did when he testified to Congress. And the memos that he say are classified, first of all, were retroactively classified. Second of all, were mostly redacted. So to say that he did something illegal or something, it only became illegal once you decided you didn't like it and you retroactively classified it to try to get him in trouble.
Right, and I mean, to do so is one thing, but then to do so and then to really harp on it, because that was not one tweet one day. You spent an entire weekend tweeting about this.
This has been the play for the last year on this whole Russia thing.
Fire him, discredit him,
right? Yes, from one person to the next person. And I, for one, dude,
Cohen, you're next.
I don't believe. I don't know, man. He got him a deal, $130,000 to keep a porn star quiet. I guess that's good for Donald Trump. I don't know, but she didn't stay quiet.
Right.
Anyways, so I don't think for a second that you can get off calling Comey a hack or somebody who's partisan or blah blah blah. First of all, he was a registered Republican. Second of all, I believe wholeheartedly he is the reason Hillary Clinton lost the election. He knew that there was more to the email scandal than what Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama wanted him to say. Loretta Lynch telling him, the head of the DOJ telling him to say, oh, it's only a matter. Don't call it an investigation. She's about to run for, the election's coming up, blah, blah, blah. Don't do this, don't do that. And he basically said, if she was anybody else, she'd be in jail.
Right.
The shit.
And he's not the only one of that opinion. I mean, like, look, let's not sit here and say, once again, because we were talking about how, we're not trying to give Donald Trump credit. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we're not trying to say we're switching sides entirely. We're not jumping back and forth over the middle here.
Well, this is something that is objective. This has nothing to do with left or right. Hillary Clinton put classified emails that were an issue for national security on her own private email server that was easily
And I don't
hacked.
care about the argument that you do it too. I don't care about that.
Right.
Because that's the only argument you have, is that the other side does it as well. And to me, that's not a good enough argument because I don't agree with the other side.
There is messages from her BlackBerry of her and Colin Powell telling her how to do it. Telling her what server to use, how to do it, how to go about it, where to and where to not log in and look at these emails. This is a violation of the Espionage Act, plain, point, and simple.
Right, and that aside,
but she was the Democratic candidate, and WikiLeaks. I don't know if it was Seth Rich. I don't know if it was Russia that hacked it. I'm not diving into a conspiracy theory today. But what we do know is
any more than we already have.
Right. What we do know is that they were hacked. Right. The DNC was hacked. John Podesta was called out as a fucking pedophile. There were multiple people called out as pedophiles that were working for Hillary Clinton. On top of that, they were classified. It was classified shit. I don't care what it was. I don't care if it was I don't care if it was Michelle Obama telling Hillary how big Obama's dick is. It's classified information that you knew better and you did wrong anyways.
I don't want to do too much on
Hillary.
I don't want to do too much on Hillary, but at the same time, I do want to emphasize that, like, if this had happened, the idea where we say, if it was anyone else, like, that kind of goes to the wind for a lot of people. And I just want people to realize that, like, there are situations where classification is leveled, it's tiered in our military, in our special intelligence, all that.
And you only get to top level.
Right, but you only get to it, by going through all these tiers and earning the next level and all that stuff.
Right.
And if someone along the way did anything, like just taking some numbers from information similar to what she had on her servers and just sent it to themselves real quick for transfer of information, that person would not only never be able to work for the American government again, but they would probably have to spend some time in jail or prison.
Yeah, and now Hillary Clinton's doing a fucking book tour.
And that's just, want everyone to understand, like, I'm not taking one side or the other when it comes to Hillary versus Donald. What I am saying is, this being the case,
right?
Like, unless you're trying to say that this is not the case at all, then you need to agree that that is highly illegal, and that's not something you want your president doing. Now, I'm not saying that, in light of what our current president has done or is doing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But with the email situation, either she was negligent or she was stupid, right? Or she was purposefully criminally negligent, or she was just dumb. And I do not believe for 1 second that she was just dumb. She graduated Harvard Law.
No, that woman is one of the
She is very smart. Let's not act like she isn't. She may be out of touch a little bit. I'll give her that. But isn't every other white person who makes millions of dollars a year?
and for everyone out there that is wanting to grab their pitchforks and their torches and burn my house down for being a Nazi, I just want to make it very clear that I am not stating that that Hillary would have been worse than Donald. I'm not stating that I don't think Hillary would be fit for president. I'm not stating any of that. All I'm stating is that if she in fact did all these things that we are accepting that she's done, then sorry, we'll edit that part out. If she's done all those things that we're accepting that she's done, then I believe she should not be president.
Right. But let's like we say, let's get to the point of this. The point of me bringing up Hillary and those investigations is because James Comey said what he said initially based on what Loretta Lynch told him to do. Then he realized that's bullshit. He should not have done that. And he didn't want to seem partisan, because if she would have won, then they would have had to reopen investigation on the sitting U.S. president.
Which they're doing now.
Which they're fucking doing now. But either way, it would have put Comey in a fucked up position.
Which he's in now.
Well, but he's in a fucked up position for a different reason.
Well, I mean...
Well, my point is, James Comey came out and he said, he announced before the election, and I think this is why she lost, but he came out...
Lots of people do.
Right. He came out November 1st or October 3rd, like the day before Halloween or something like that.
It was within like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the election.
Oh, it was like 9 days.
Yeah.
And he come out and said, we're reopening the investigation, which probably was the right thing to do, judging by the transcripts of what Loretta Lynch said to him, the different interactions with the heads of with what we found out about Peter Strzok and all this shit. It was probably the right thing to do. It was done a little late, but either way, pushing forward, James Comey was not afraid to do what he thought to be the right thing. He did it to Hillary Clinton and then turned around and did it to Trump. You know what I mean? So any Republican, and that's the point, any Republican who's sitting here saying Comey's some kind of partisan hack is a fool. You look at any evidence and you see the contrary of that exact statement.
Right.
There's no way you can be in favor of him when he did this to Hillary and then turn around and be a hypocrite because he's doing this. He tried to do the same thing to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and to that point, with the whole like retroactively making what he's doing illegal, he continued. Like I said, he did it all weekend. He tweeted all weekend about it, and he said that we tweeted about it all weekend. And so on April 20th, on 420, he said,
was he fucking high?
Well, it was at 10:15 in the evening. So James Comey illegally leaked classified documents to the press in order to generate a special counsel. Therefore, the special counsel was established based on a legal act. Really, does anybody know what that means? Question mark after every single one of those. Again,
you're pursuing an agenda that does not exist. I just don't see it. When you look at Donald Trump is acting like Donald Trump, like a big fucking baby, because somebody's coming after what is looked like. Look, let's talk a little bit about the Russian collusion, okay? When WikiLeaks dropped all those emails and it was believed that Russia hacked them, Donald Trump got on Twitter and said, "Hey Russia, if you're listening, please hack again and drop more emails, the 30,000 that were deleted." How?
That is knowingly and openly encouraging a foreign power to influence an election.
That is fucking treason.
openly and knowing you can't get more open than asking them via Twitter.
Exactly. But we're supposed to sit here and say, oh, it's bullshit. He's just being Trump. No, fuck that. You wouldn't do that for Donald. You wouldn't do that for Barack Obama. You wouldn't do that if it was Hillary Clinton. You wouldn't do that if it was anybody fucking else. But you're doing it for Trump because he's the South Park of political people. He is. Nobody gives South Park any shit for the fucked up things they do because it's funny, and that's always been their MO.
Yeah, but this isn't funny.
Exactly, but this has always been Trump's MO. He always talks shit, gets people to look. He's a master at fucking branding and promoting. It's just another. But this isn't fucking right, and it's not anything that we should have voted for. I fucking didn't vote for him. But I guess the point the point we're trying to get back to is the Russia investigation. Okay, so he said that. Then you have the dossier that was collected. Now, whether or not that dossier was collected based on FISA court applications that weren't necessarily true remains to be seen. Now, if we were spying on a person based on bad information, that's something that has to be addressed. But we still don't know that. And whether there's a conspiracy to get Donald Trump the fuck out of here or not, it's still a big fucking deal. But either way, there's the PP Gate where you watch Russian prostitutes pee on themselves and blah, blah, blah. And
PP Gate? Is that the official term?
That's the official term that they're
going with. PP Gate?
PP Gate. There's supposedly video of. Do you know the story?
I think I know what you're talking about. Donald Trump
in the dossier,
had a Russian hooker pee on him
in the room that the Obama slept in Russia. Is the supposed thing.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's part of what was in the.
What, did they sleep in it after that he did?
Before. So
it's like what we're somehow sticking it to the Democrats.
I guess I don't know, and I think it's probably bullshit. But at the same,
it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No, it fucking doesn't.
Honestly, like the libertarian in me goes, man, if that's what you're fucking into, go for it.
Exactly. I don't care that he did what he did with Stormy Daniels. I don't care that
Imagine
Clinton was getting blowies
out here real quick. How many of us would like to do what that hooker got paid for to do?
To pee on somebody?
No. Specifically to piss on Donald Trump. How many people out there, honest to God, right now, if you're listening, how cool would
Let's open up some dialogue.
If you could pee on the president, if you could say openly, I've pissed on the active president of the United States.
My fucking mom would, I'm sure.
As non-sexual as I can say this, I would love to pee on Donald Trump. I think that just to be able to say I've done.
You gotta say pause after that.
No homo.
I would like to pee on Donald Trump. Pause. But anyways, so there's that, and then there's going deeper, the business ties he has in Russia. Donald Trump Jr. coming out and saying that they have business ties in Russia. Ivanka Trump's clothing line doing real well in Russia. There's the people that he put around him. Mike Pence's brother works for a Russian engineering company. You have Rex Tillerson, who was awarded a friendship medal from Vladimir Putin because he and Putin both bought thousands of acres of oil pipeline in that area. Oil. Rex Tillerson was the fucking CEO of Exxon. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of the... you have some bankers that he put on the treasury that were had close ties to some Russian oligarchs. You have a lot of things that
resonate Russia.
Right, exactly. There's no reason. And then if this dossier, look, I'm all for not surveilling my enemy because my enemy is also American. All right, the FISA court application thing, they kind of blew that under the bus. But if you look at the FISA court application, they've since the 70s have only not given a FISA warrant to 4 applications. 4. Since the 70s or 80s, since it was initiated. That is ridiculous.
How many applications have there been?
Like 20,000.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? Like, and if somebody can please pull up the exact number, that'd be awesome. I don't have it right in front of me. We maybe should have done a better job at pre-production, but that's okay.
Honestly, if we had seen this topic coming up, we could have said that. But at the same time, fucking sound guy isn't here today.
Fair enough. Yeah.
He's usually on the
fucking
computer,
Billy,
looking stuff up for us.
All right. Anyway,
a bit of a shout out to you, Bill.
Yeah. Hey, Billy, you're fucking up. Anyways, but no, the FISA application thing. Either way, getting past that, and all that's in the Nunez memos. We can go over that at another point in time. But you have this information that was collected about Donald Trump with Russia. You have the open willingness to want them to hack us, right? What we were just talking about with Twitter. Yeah. And then let's not forget that this was enacted. It was enacted when Michael Flynn came out and said that in late December he was on the phone with Russian on the phone with a Russian diplomat, Sergei Kislyak. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Hey man, you're probably closer than I am.
Yeah, so he telling him, hey, look, don't worry about these sanctions, right? Don't worry about them. And it's funny that it just so happens that a few days later, Vladimir Putin comes out and says, I'm not going to respond to these sanctions. I'm going to wait till the new administration comes in before I say and do anything. Then Michael Flynn turns fucking state's evidence and has to go. He tries to get immunity. He says, I'll testify against him if I can get immunity. And Robert Mueller said, nope, sorry, you had your chance.
Yeah, this is a treason case, buddy.
Then you have George Papadopoulos, who was one of the people that were in the Donald Trump cabinet, who had ties to trying to get in touch with the heads of state in Russia. And then you have the sit-down meeting with Donald Trump Jr. Now, all this is coming out after is coming out about the Russian investigation. You have Paul Manafort, who's been working closely with the Russian government since fucking 2009, and up until 2015. He was fired in July, which happened to be right after this fucking meeting between Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort with the Russian lawyer who said she had evidence on Hillary. There are emails supporting that Donald Trump Jr. wanted to get this info, yet
I don't think he fully ever came out and said that.
Yeah, he did.
Really?
He showed the emails that said that where she said.
No, I'm saying I don't think Donald Trump Jr. ever really came out and said no, that wasn't. I mean, what did he do? He basically came out and said it was all business, and then didn't respond after they were like, no, here's the emails.
Yeah,
he just didn't respond.
Yeah, well, because he showed the emails were out. What could he say?
Well, but that's my point is that some listeners who may be a little bit on the Trump train might be going, oh, no, that was disproven. Go find me where it was disproven.
Right.
Like if you're listening to this and you just think all we're talking about is resonating fake news, please prove me wrong.
Let's correlate this to the Hillary Clinton thing. Okay.
Which is the next Donald Trump dumb.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. James Comey said that he did not see intent with Hillary Clinton initially. Whenever he said that that he posted,
he was like, no, this is just negligence.
Right, but now we're saying the same thing about now we're looking at this Donald Trump Jr. thing. There was obviously intent there, and nothing, fucking nothing.
Nothing.
That's what I'm concerned about. Paul Manafort, who Trump fired, to his credit, I guess, is...
Oh God! Don't go Ingram.
No.
Don't go Ingram.
Fuck Laura Ingram. She's so trash.
He should have done it a year ago.
Oh my God.
He should have fired. He should have never hired him in the first place.
I admit, sometimes I watch Tucker Carlson, and she was on there one night before she got her show. I turned it off about fucking 10 minutes.
She has taken agreeing with Donald Trump to such an extreme. It's criticizing Donald Trump for not doing what he's doing prior to doing it. That's like almost every time she talks about a move he makes that's been criticized by the left, she just like, if it was me, I would have done it months ago.
Right.
Basically like, I think Trump is so right that he's behind the ball.
Right. And man, stop. Just stop. We get it. Republican is Fox, right? Fox News are Republicans.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So anyway, you connect the dots, man. You look at everything, you see how it's all set up. I don't necessarily think that there was... Oh, the last thing. The Cambridge Analytica scandal with Facebook. 87 million people's Facebook accounts had sensitive information that was taken, 70 million of those being Americans, that was taken and sold to somebody from the Cambridge Institute that had ties to Russia, was Russian, and then that information was sold to the Trump campaign. What?
If that doesn't piss you off, I mean, anyone out there that's a Facebook user, and if you're listening to this, you're probably a Facebook user, that should piss you off.
Right. There's no way.
And the fact that the Facebook's response is, oh, well, there's this super cool secret way to go back into the back alley of your profile and see what we've posted so that you can try to turn it off.
I got a freaking message saying that mine was one of the ones hacked. I mean, it's...
I just got a notification saying, hey, in case you're curious, this is a link to going and looking at what we have on you. You can turn it off and on.
Right.
And all that shit.
I don't know. Either way, there's a lot of fucking signs that point to some kind of Russian involvement. Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself because he too met with a Russian diplomat.
Now, I absolutely hate Jeff Sessions.
Fair enough.
I want to make that abundantly clear.
He is an old fucking douchebag.
He is a
right there with
racist. He's on the wrong side of.
He's on the wrong side of justice in every 100%
situation. Actually, of any argument I can think of. However, all of that,
it's a big
stated.
Butt. That's a big butt.
I think that, I don't want him to be in the position he's in, but being in the position he's in, I'm glad he recused himself. I think that was a smart move. It took him too fucking long to do it. But on top of that, his position as a senator before that, kind of, you meet with foreign leaders. One point I will point out for the Republicans, for the right, because that's all you are if you're on this side of the argument, is that Jeff Sessions, out of everyone we've named, has at least a legitimate excuse as to why he would meet with Russian officials.
Right. Well, but then you look at his testimony. It said, I don't recall what we talked about. I don't recall. I don't remember. And then the next day he recuses himself. It's a lot of, look, a lot of what I'm saying...
He probably couldn't keep denying because it would make him look senile.
Look, and I'm going to say this. A lot of the shit on the FISA application for the memo, it could be a lot of circumstantial evidence. What we're talking about, other than the Jared Kushner thing and the Facebook thing, is circumstantial evidence. Let's be clear about that. And a lot of it could also be obstruction of justice of a crime that may or may not have taken place.
Here's my thing. At this point, we can admit that entities that are Russian did do everything they can for and exhaust a lot of resources to do so to influence this election in Donald Trump's favor. The question is to whether or not Trump did anything to tie himself to that, which would be considered collusion and therefore treason.
Right.
If he did anything more than, spicy quotes, jokingly encourage Russia to hack more and release more emails, if he did anything more than that, like if he knowingly, involved any kind of funding to these, special interest groups that were using Facebook and that information to try to influence the election through InfoWars, then that's a big fucking deal. But at the same time, if he didn't know about it, but just encouraged the idea because he wanted to win, then you have to toss it up to him being dumped on.
Well, I think you can't, with this administration, you can't equate anything to being an evil genius that you can also equate to stupidity.
You're right, and this last tweet regarding the topic, he tries once again to emphasize that the James Comey's memos are classified. I did not declassify them. They belong to our government. Therefore, he broke the law. Additionally, he totally made up many of the things he said, I said, and he is already a proven liar and leaker. Where are memos on Clinton, Lynch, and others? And then he followed that up with, so funny, the Democrats have sued the Republicans for winning. Now the R's counter and force them to turn over a treasure trove of material, including servers and emails.
Well, they sued him because of the WikiLeaks dump. They sued him because they think they had something to do with it, because they think the collusion is there. And I don't know that that's not true. Look, WikiLeaks released a video of a journalist, the same journalist who dropped who did the first interviews on whenever they got the big thing about torture back in the mid 2000s. They did an interview with that guy, and he said that he knew Seth Rich was up to something. Right? He saw him. He knew something was going on. He knew it was something big, and then he died. WikiLeaks posted that. Some people speculate that they posted that to try to let everybody know that Seth Rich was the one who did it, not the Russians. Either fucking way, you have a giant treasure trove of emails.
Treasure trove.
Well, I mean, to the fucking Republicans, it is a treasure trove. What else?
It's shiny.
It's big. It's red. It's a treasure trove.
It's a treasure trove.
I don't know, man. I'm torn about this because I do think that there was some kind of quid pro quo within the Donald Trump camp, as far as putting people in positions to succeed within his administration that did have Russian ties. I think that happened for a reason. I also think that if you say Donald Trump did these things, but then you discredit the things that came out about Hillary, you are a hypocrite.
Right. I think that's our overall point, and I don't want to transition this into King of the World or anything.
King of the World, you fucking investigate both of them.
Yes.
Let's do this.
And I think we both are in agreement, so King of the World, I guess, you'd be kind of short with it, but I'm going to be completely honest. Honest to God, if I have to say my personal opinion on this, which is what this segment's for,
right.
I think that Hillary Clinton knowingly did what she did, and she may have thought, now in my opinion, her thought process might have been that she is just above the law.
You read it, right? Look, I wanted to interrupt and say that. You took it out of my fucking head.
It's not that she didn't know, it's not that she was careless, it's not that she didn't care, it's that she was above all of that.
The evidence...
She's good enough to where that would not affect her.
The evidence points to you being right, sir. Colin Powell fucking told her how to do it.
Right.
Colin Powell told her how to do it.
Right, and that shows that, again, this is my opinion, she's not the only one that thinks this.
Right.
She is not the only one that thinks I'm above everyone else. However, she may be the only one, at least the only one I can think of since maybe Nixon that's gotten caught in anything something like this.
Well, and here's another point I'd like to make. If there were crimes committed, whether or not there were crimes committed under Obama's DOJ and Obama's administration, and you're a Republican, right? And you want those things prosecuted. You want it to happen because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
You know, regardless, look, I did not think Obama was a terrible president. I thought his foreign policy was kind of shitty.
Right.
Was shitty, but I didn't think he was a terrible president. But if crimes were committed while he had an administration in the White House, then he should be investigated. Hillary Clinton should be investigated. But the point of this is, if you're a Republican and you believe that, then you don't get to have it both ways and say investigate them, right? Investigate them, but don't investigate us.
Right.
You have to tell Jeff Sessions, you have to tell those people in charge, Rod Rosenstein, everybody who's capable of making this happen, to do the right thing and investigate these fucking Republicans too. Because the left ain't the only one that is a bunch of fucking bullshitters. As a matter of fact, all the rich Republicans are the ones that are trying to take the social programs away from people that would help them.
Right. I think that honest to goodness, this shows how much corruption is in our own government.
Right.
So while we can sit here and say that crimes of treason were committed by people that believe that they were above the law and above all of us and even above the rest of the United States government, that they can do these things and get away with it, that should infuriate and motivate you for change. However, that's just talking about the left? No, we're also talking about the right. If you believe that should be looked into to the point of, if it's proven right, burn them down, then you also believe that if Donald Trump is successfully investigated in encouraging and colluding with a foreign power to influence the election in his favor, that is also treason, it is illegal, and we should burn it to the ground. So I'm looking at both sides and saying, fuck you.
Right.
Get your shit together and be more what we elect you to be.
Well, you can't. Don't be a fucking partisan hack. Stop doing this kind of shit.
I don't care. Look, I don't care how partisan you are.
No, but
I don't care how partisan you are.
But I think
when you believe that you are above the laws of the people,
right?
Because you're in a position so powerful that you can get that vain idea, then acts of treason should knock you so far on your ass that you are the common fucking person. You know what I mean? Like, You can't be seen
That's
as
why
above
James
this.
Comey reopened the investigation into Hillary.
I hope that, and I hate to say this, I hope both investigations show nothing wrong. That would be great.
Right.
I think that is extremely unlikely.
Right.
I think the much more
Comey was
likely
fired because
that,
of the Russia investigation.
Right. I think that both sides have way too much to hide, and they're hiding it because they have so much to lose.
Right.
And I believe that if they are hiding it, those things should be lost.
Robert Mueller was a fucking Marine. He's a Republican. He has investigated so many major crimes and so many major things over the course of his career. He is doing a job. And just like any other subject, if you don't have anything to hide, then don't fucking worry about it. Let him do his job. Stop making it look worse when you come out and say he needs to stop. He's a partisan hack. He's this, he's that. Don't fire Robert Mueller and make yourself look fucking bad. Look like fucking Richard Nixon. Okay? Do not, and that's what I think would be the everybody point and look at point. If he fires Robert Mueller, we know what is up. Point blank, period.
No, I absolutely agree 100%, and I think that kind of wraps up that a little bit. I mean, here at Dead Center, I believe we can honestly say we think that both sides are extremely fucking corrupt.
Well,
they need to clear it up, be a lot more transparent, and be more for the people.
For the people.
No, God, no, I don't even.
Alright.
We can get into the gubernatorial races later this year.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole nother fucking shitstorm. I can't wait for election season, man. We're going to have a lot to talk about because there's going to be a lot of mudslinging.
Lord Baltimore, Rick Scott,
ooh,
for a Senate seat.
Oh, man, I fucking hate that guy. I really fucking hate that guy.
Agree there.
All right, man, that was great. Yeah. I think we acknowledged the
ate some crow and then had
some
big old fuck yous to both sides for dessert.
Absolutely, man. All right, man. Well, that about wraps it up. I'm Trip.
Yeah, I'm Jem.
This is Dead Center, where we try to conversate, not constantly hate, and get to the fucking point. Love y'all, man. See y'all next week.
Drinking beer in the hot sun. I fought the law and